Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about victim consciousness. It's not something probably a lot of times we think about, or most of the time our mind likes to perceive being a victim as in denial of being a victim of something. But the more and more that I go through my own personal experience here in this life, and I see and other people and what we are doing as a collective of moving out of victim consciousness more and more, we're becoming aware more of our own eternal beingness, and therefore we're stepping more into our own, more into our own power of love. So one of the main things, again, as I just said about being in denial of being a victim, and also a lot of times, as we might see in our daily lives, as either governments or groups blaming one another for one thing or another. But really there is no victims. There are no victims. The part of us that sees and lives in duality consciousness, and there's many levels of this, these levels of our being that live in this duality consciousness. Yes, we are in a duality environment which is called third density, but we are multi-dimensional beings existing within a physical body. The physical body has different levels of consciousness that is tied to, say, survival mode. Fear in itself is a survival tool of our physical being. That is tied to what's called ego consciousness. It's also connected to the bottom three chakras in our physical body. So the next level up from there, of course, we connect in more with, say, the right brain, and we integrate more and more connection with our heart consciousness. But there is also more beyond that also. All the way through until we integrate and ground our 8th and 9th dimensional aspects of our physical into the physical being, into our physical body, vessel, and so on. So there's not just a black and white view of victim consciousness, duality consciousness, and then the other view is non-duality, non-victim consciousness. It's just not two polarities. It's just not two, say, on and off switch. There's many levels of this perceptual, say, views of consciousness. For the different levels of perceptual views of consciousness, I invite you to view my last video where I talked about the different levels of our duality and non-duality consciousness. That was in my last video. So today what I really wanted to focus on was talking about again was victim consciousness. From my view and from all the information that I've received, and also all my own research regarding these levels of consciousness and so on, is that there are levels of victim consciousness all the way up through the levels of duality consciousness. So if you are living in a state of duality consciousness, basically in the physical body, and you choose to, say, live through that aspect of your being that lives in duality consciousness, seeing white, black, good, bad, white, evil, dark, whatever. It's the constant polarity views of good, bad, better, worse, and so on. And living through these dimensional levels of perception, basically. Through all those levels of duality consciousness, there are degrees of victim consciousness also. So the more that we truly let go of the perceptions of light, dark, good, bad, better, worse, higher, lower, and so on, we release more and more also of the victim consciousness. Levels of those perceptions are tied to the victim consciousness. Another view of, say, victim consciousness is something is happening in your reality that therefore is causing effect, that's having an effect on you, that's causing you to have some kind of situation. Such as, this is going on in the world, and therefore this is the reason why I can't do this or that or this. The more that we integrate more of our non-duality, say unity consciousness in the physical body, the more that we begin to know how, say, the divine order of all works together, how everything works together regarding our oneness, how we create this reality through our actions and thoughts and perceptions. So the more that we truly embrace what we are currently experiencing, embrace it, take responsibility for it, and then choose to stand more in our power, basically. Not power through, say, a duality standpoint of, I must battle with whatever it is because I'm standing in my power. It's a matter, when I say standing in your own power, it's standing in your own power in love. And if you're truly standing in your power in love, then therefore you're embracing the true essence of the divine order within all that is. You're embracing your own connection to whatever else is going on in the environment, and your connection and responsibility of how you're affecting it. So this is a part that a lot of people on earth are currently going through right now. We are going through it as a collective. More and more people are standing up. Their awareness and their consciousness is becoming more aware of the patterns and programs that exist in this reality and how they're connected to everything. On one level or another, they're standing in their power to a degree, and they're releasing more, let's say, more of the perceptions of victim consciousness. Guilt is also another level of victim consciousness. I feel guilty that I'm not helping out here. I feel guilty because I'm not over there assisting with this. I feel guilty for doing this or that. No matter what perception of you, whether you might say it out loud, but then you're inward saying, you're saying, oh, I really didn't mean that. If it's coming through you, no matter where it's coming through, it's within you. That vibrational frequency of guilt is tied to victim consciousness. The same thing as all these other levels of fear, judgment. Again, those are tied to duality consciousness. And just as I'm speaking right now, it's your perception of this information that I'm providing that you may put it on a scale of being, say, good, bad, higher or lower, and or on a scale of being right or wrong. And that again is a judgment coming from a view of duality consciousness. So I'm not really portraying or putting out this information coming from my standpoint of what I'm providing as being right, wrong, as being duality, in ego, or in fear as being wrong or bad. It just is. I'm describing the chemistry of our levels of consciousness and how they work together. I'm providing the information for everyone to make their own choice for what they truly wish to experience. A lot of times our lives don't come with roadmaps. Our lives, we explore our lives through our own experiences and what we truly wish to focus on and what we truly wish to, say, move forwards into. More and more people are feeling the urge to move through their heart consciousness instead of the brain mental awareness of ego, separation, and judgment. This is what we are learning more. Basically, the more we integrate more of our heart consciousness here in the physical body, the more we're integrating more of our own eternal knowingness of who we truly are beyond this physical body. Another thing that I just wanted to touch about is the levels of, as I mentioned earlier, about how there's many levels of duality consciousness within us. And there's also, tied to these levels of duality consciousness are levels of victim consciousness. And as we release the patterns and programs that run within our being, basically these levels of being that hold on to these levels of perception, the more that we're integrating more and more of our, say, eternal intelligence. There's been, many scientific experiments regarding how we only use between 7 and 10%, 10% probably being high for most part, but approximately around 7 to 10% of our brain capacity. But it also has been proven that people, different yogis and people that meditate and truly take the integration of their own consciousness as a priority. The scientists again have taken images of the brain, and for the people that have spent the time truly integrating the left and right hemispheres of the brain, the levels of the being, the circuitry between the left and right hemispheres of the brain started to join together to a greater degree. The left and right hemispheres of the brain become more unity. It's become unified. What that's doing is basically, as we release the patterns and programs of different levels of our own consciousness, we are integrating more and more of our own, say, eternal consciousness. This simultaneously is activating different points within our brain and different glands like the pineal and pituitary glands, and activating, of course, the third eye and other portions of our being. But through this process, we are, the more that this eternal beingness that we ground here in the physical, we are also activating and using other levels within our brain, mental awareness, that we previously were not, say, was not activated or, say, connected in that specific time. So, for an example, I'm just going to draw down a little chart here. The more, for example, that we might have if we're living in the perceptional views of ego consciousness, left brain's tied to the bottom, 3 chakras, view of very separated in the world, perceptions, blaming everything on outside of us, other people, other situations, we would be living in only a portion of our total beingness. So as I was relating to 7 to 10%, these levels are only connected in with that portion of our collective beingness. 7 to 10%, of course, is only that percentage of our brain capacity that we're using at that specific time. So, of course, we have much more beyond that to integrate and have, say, more expanded knowingness of who we are and how we're connected to, say, the universe and everything and everyone. When we are continually choosing to live through this perceptual view of consciousness, of course, this is what reflects within our reality. What we focus on is what we perceive in reality. This is what usually reflects back to us within reality. Another example about this right here, in the levels of our being. A lot of people would say, well, this up here is imaginary. It's some kind of belief that there's none of levels of our being and that there's all this other stuff regarding what I'm talking about. The reason why I'm providing this information is for your own self-discovery, for your own self-integration and exploration, not as a belief. It's truly to experience these levels of being, not to believe. So, you know, even in cartoon commercials, cartoons on the TV when we were young children, and different commercials on TV that have, say, when the person is thinking about doing something, they might have the good angel on one shoulder and the evil bad angel on the other. And the person, of course, being the person, is then choosing to have, saying, oh, I'm going to do this, but, you know, then the good angels over here saying, well, that probably would not be a very good idea. It might not be a very nice thing. While on the other hand, the other angel, but you can call it whatever you want, the bad angel or whatever, is saying, well, you know, this is very desirable. It's very, you know, you could get this out of it. You could probably do this or that. But you as the person of sitting here is making the choice. And this is what we do every single minute of the day. We make choices between different levels of our consciousness. We all hear different perceptual views, no matter how much everybody wants to be in denial of this, have different perceptual views of consciousness and have these different levels of being speaking to us at different times and saying, well, just as you're getting ready to do something, you might have a little voice in the back of your mind come through and say, take a minute and step back, really feel this out. Is this something you really want to do? And then you have the choice to listen to that small voice. That small voice is basically speaking through your soul. That is connected to your I am presence. Those are the levels that we all have tied to us. It's just a matter of listening and acting through these eternal levels of our being. And the more that we live by the voice of through our soul and I am presence and so on, we're actually living through these other levels within our being. And there's just not just one more level, there's many more levels. The more that we integrate more of these eternal levels of being that live beyond fear, judgment, being the victim, we're integrating these levels of consciousness in our physical body. This whole building is, this whole thing here is our physical body and the levels of energetic systems that we are. At the same time that we are integrating and we're truly having the willingness to live through here, more of our heart consciousness instead of our mind, fearful, judgment consciousness, we are in turn activating these other levels of our own beingness, these other levels of our own mental awareness. We're going from using only 7 to 10% of our brain to integrating more and more percentages of our mental capacity. To give you an example, what a lot of people are experiencing on Earth and have been for several years is that seeing information Information in itself has vibration. Vibration, energy, is consciousness. So you might view what you viewed 6 months or a year ago, and you read it, and you're like, I don't understand a word. I just can't even mentally understand what in the world this information is. Either you're reading a book, or you're reading some kind of article online on the internet, or something that somebody else has written or provided, and you're just not able to mentally understand what the information's about. Again, everything is levels of vibration. Information is consciousness, has a level of degree of energy associated with it. So now, today, 6 or 8 months ago or a year ago, you might not have been able to send it, but then you reread it today, reread it, and then you're looking at it and you understand it to a greater degree. What has happened in that period of time is you have vibrationally aligned yourself with the energy of that information, that vibrational level of consciousness. The more that you have the willingness to expand that level of consciousness, the more you get it more in line with, say, understanding what those vibrational levels of consciousness really are, what that information means. You can describe it with your own words to a better degree, with your own friends, family, or writing it down. You can actually describe it better with your own words because you have integrated those levels of your own consciousness. You have freed up the eternal stream of your own eternal consciousness that understands all of this stuff already into the physical. Know that we have all these different levels of our being tied to the physical body. The physical body is just one part of it's only tied to this physical experience here on earth. But we have many, many levels of our total beingness. We're multidimensional beings. One way or another, on another level, we already know all this information that's being talked about on earth regarding all these earth changes in consciousness, integration of, say, more of what our own presence really is. That is who we are on a certain level of our being. That's it. It's nothing to believe. It's just who we are. So the more that we are truly clear up, start using more of our own eternal, say, voice and actions, and living our life that is the vibrations of love without conditions in all ways and manners, we truly are integrating that voice of who we are eternally here within the physical. It's activating these other portions of our brain, mental capacity, to be truly aware of our connection with one another, the earth, the sun, the universe. That is who we are on another level. We are already the universe. We are already the earth and the sun. We are already on another level everything that is. Who we are here in this physical body is really just a spark, a reflection, say an eye, to experience this reality together and play around down here on earth. We can make this experience as crazy as we want, or we can make it as easy as we want, but it's all up to us. Gotten a little off track regarding my original intent for this video regarding victim consciousness, but it all ties together. The more that we truly stand in our own power and love, not standing in our power to battle with anybody or anything, the more that we're truly stepping into our God self roles here in the physical body, we're allowing those levels of consciousness to exist here in the physical body, and exist here in this time period on Earth. The more people on Earth that truly step into their own eternal, say, God self shoes of beingness, the more that it assists everybody and everything here in this reality. We are changing the collective patterns of the collective mind through our own transformation. Through our own transformation, we transform the world. And it also is through being the love of our own eternal self. That is what we live and experience. There are no victims. We agree or we create everything that happens to us in our physical form. And within our reality, yes, there's plenty of questions that come through saying, well, what about this situation? What about this situation? And what about this situation? And so on. Really, the more that you take the time to do your own research, to see how we agree, and every single soul agrees when they come into the body what they're going to experience to a degree. So in that standpoint, there are really no victims. We are all working together in this collective experience. We all have different roles that we are playing right now in this collective experience. How we are all meshing together and what we are creating together is what we are collectively experiencing. We have many roles that we're playing here within this physical existence and in other levels all at the same time. And the more that we truly, again, have the willingness to learn more about ourselves and release the patterns of our own self-judgment and fear, all this information just begins to flow so much easier. The victims are the only people that are the victims that see that they are a victim. We live in the levels of duality consciousness until we decide that we no longer want to live and choose new patterns to live our life. And that is the choice. That is the choice that every single person, every single soul, every single being has a choice to experience reality. And I honor every single being, no matter what vibrational frequency, for their own existence. If they wish to experience something and live a certain way and or in a vibrational frequency, I honor their will. But at the same time, I am a vibrational frequency using my own universe right here. And I have the choice, of course, to have certain vibrational frequencies and or energy exist around me. I have the choice to clear it, and I have the choice to experience a reality that is not bound by constrictions or not bound by a certain vibrational frequency. That is a choice that we all have. We are also not bound by this physical third density. The first physical third density veil is getting thinner and thinner. To one day, when the veil will be so thin that more and more people will be able to walk through the veil. It's a very exciting time on Earth, and I am honored to be here with you all and to be experiencing and being a transformer here at this time. We are all transforming this reality. We are all playing a part. there's not one person on earth that is more important or, say, bad or worse than another. Everyone and all energies of the collective scale within this octave of experience is playing a role. The more that we release the victim consciousness, the more that we see that the darkness is playing a role for us to step into our own power, to truly step into the roles of our own love to a greater degree. And when that within each one of us is truly recognized, you are able to perceive and understand what truly is this learning experience of third density reality is all about. So again, I honor everyone, and please be respectful to all that you come in contact with, because it's only a reflection of your own self. Please pass the video along, share it with others if you like, and if you watch the rest of my videos that I've posted, I would appreciate it. Thank you. We are all living this change together, and be the change that you wish to see. Namaste.